Hello folks, Mr. Dan coming to you from the landscape design classroom, and today I'm here to talk to you about introduction to hardscape materials. So what is a hardscape? It is a constructed part of the landscape, something done through a plan. It should be designed and installed to fit as an integral part of the landscape. So anytime you look here, when you have something like a nice Versalock wall with a cap, stone put in, a nice wood walkway with stone in between each slat, all that stuff is designed. If it's not designed in, you don't know how far apart to put your wood slats, you don't know how much stone to put in, you don't know how much material you're going to need for that job. So why do we use hardscapes? It's great for site management, creates enclosures, really spotlights focal points like this tree right here, or even some of these nice flowers that they put in. Connects different areas. So if you have a really nice courtyard, it might connect it to the sidewalks in the front of the house. And good hardscapes really bring an entire establishment together, whether it's a house, restaurant, bigger things like a zoo or a theme park. They also provide structural accents. So hardscape materials used for site management, directing traffic flow. So a good example of this would be a driveway or sidewalk. So you want people to use those to get to certain places. So having very nicely planned out sidewalks, pointing somebody in a direction, typically keeps them on that surface and moving towards that area. Controlling landscapes, good examples of this would be a retaining wall to reduce erosion. Typically walls are the main thing to create controlling areas of landscapes or of landscapes. So, and installing patios can keep plants at bay. Some water systems are actually function as an irrigation system as well. So that could be something like a fountain. Enclosures. So they define the room in a landscape. So if you see a fence all around a house, that's an enclosure. You could even count trees as an enclosure, but that's not really a hardscape material. So good examples of that would be fences, walls, arbors, trellises, and screens. So focal points. Focal points could be a bunch of different stuff. So typically if you're looking at plants, a really nice tree like a Japanese maple that has a nice red color, but in terms of hardscapes, something that you're installing, you definitely could look at that as a pond. So it emphasizes the center of interest or activity. The good examples of these can be a patio, a deck, a pole, or a gazebo. Connecting areas. So these provide connections or flow between areas. This could be something like this walkway here. There might be a sidewalk underneath it, even just a path. So examples of this are paths, walks, steps, and planters. Structural accents. These are used to draw the eye to certain areas. So it could be a nice rock outcropping, a good fountain, different types of grasses that go in there. So garden sculptures, garden furniture, boulders, like you can see right here, and hardscape material. So there's many kinds. They should blend in nicely with natural elements. There should be some variety, but not used too much to detract from your overall design. Because overall, you want to make sure your design is unified and really comes together well. So if we take a look at this image here on the right, you'll see a lot of the same colors going, like a nice brown sidewalk to go along with these brown posts coming out of the ground, and it just ties in very nicely with the natural landscape. So gravel, it's used for driveways, paths, and planting beds. As you can see here in the picture on the right, it makes a nice pathway going down underneath this trellis of trees. And they should be kept in place by boundaries like lumber bricks. So you see these bricks lining the whole way down. That creates a pathway and gives your site user a direction to walk in. And they're quick to install. Gravel is probably the quickest install method you can use. It lays pretty flat, and after you rake it around, you're pretty much good to go. but they can be messy. So if you're ever going to somebody that's a gravel driveway, you can easily kick rocks out of their driveway and can cause a little bit of cleanup issue at times. Concrete. It's used in driveways, walks, steps, patios. It's a little bit more expensive material, but it can be colored or textured. So it's durable. Let me head back for 1 second. So it's a pretty durable material. So what that means is it can take a beating over time. So typically concrete will last anywhere between 30 and 60 years. As you see from the picture below, you can also stamp different patterns into it and really make it quality for your home. Wood's typically used in decks, furniture, fences, gazebos. I've seen it used on walks to edge planting beds. Wood's probably the most versatile material you can use, but it also degrades over time. So railroad ties you can get, they're used for steps, paths, walls, planters. I would say railroad ties are a little bit more of an older material that's not quite used as much anymore. Most people are typically going the stone route with Versalillic walls or natural stone. Shredded bark is often used for mulch, which gives the house a softer look. I always tell anybody in this class that if you want work year after year after year, typically you put mulch down, but if somebody wants like that forever look, then you want to do a stone. And last but not least, stone. Cut stone and filled stone are often used in natural gardens or in ponds, as you can see on this side. This is definitely more of a Japanese style pond garden. So you have some nice plants in the back for bonsai, and you have your paths going throughout. So they can be used for walks, steps, different types of walls. Stone is an extremely versatile material, but it can also be a very expensive material. So, and it can be structural accent in rock gardens. If you find some really nice boulders, people really like to use those as a focal point. And then it can be a border around planting areas. I've installed tons of beds at people's houses surrounded by rock outcroppings. It really just sets it off nicely, especially if it really achieves that type of style with a house. Bricks and pavers. These are used in walls, walks, and patios. They can be a border for flower beds. Pretty common, and the coloring can really set that house apart from somebody else's. It can be laid in patterns. You can have a running bond, a basket weave. We're going to get into all that stuff here with installing patios and walls. And they're often used in formal gardens. So if you go, let's say to Disneyland, there's a lot of brick pathways that go through Disneyland because it really offers that old time look that they want to achieve for their customer and visitor base. So that is the end of my presentation on hardscapes. You folks can continue on to the vocabulary terms, doing the fill in the blank worksheet or puzzle. And if you have any questions at all before you take the test, please get in contact with me down here in the classroom. Have a great day.